Rain poured down on the cracked pavement as 14-year-old Daniel sprinted down the street, clutching a worn-out backpack to his chest. His breath was ragged, not from the run, but from the weight pressing down on him, the weight of being invisible, of being forgotten. He wasn't just running home from school, he was running away from the cruel laughter of classmates who never missed a chance to remind him of everything he lacked: nice clothes, confidence, a father who stayed. Daniel hated school, not the learning, but the living and surviving the hallways where bullies like Marcus reigned supreme. Marcus was tall, athletic, and sharp-tongued. He thrived on pushing others down, and Daniel, with his stammer and second-hand shoes, was the perfect target. One day, in the middle of gym class, Marcus shoved Daniel to the ground so hard that his glasses cracked against the floor. Laughter erupted around them. Daniel's cheeks burned, his eyes stung, but he didn't cry. Not because he wasn't hurting, but because he was tired of giving them more to laugh at. He picked himself up, taped his glasses back together, and quietly accepted the pain. But someone noticed. Sitting on the bleachers that day was Coach Ramirez, a man who had lived through his own storms. He had served in the army, lost comrades, and seen firsthand what cruelty could do to the human spirit. As the laughter died down, his voice cut through the air. "Marcus, meet me after class. We need to talk." The gym fell silent. For the next week, Coach Ramirez kept his eyes on Daniel. He saw the boy's hunched shoulders, the way he avoided eye contact, the way his hands trembled when he was called on in class. But he also noticed something else. Every time another student dropped a book, Daniel picked it up. Every time someone struggled with homework, Daniel quietly offered help. Hidden inside the boy who thought he had nothing was a heart that gave everything. One afternoon, Coach called Daniel into his office. The room smelled faintly of old leather and coffee. On the wall hung pictures of past teams, young men smiling with trophies in hand. "Sit down, son," Coach said. "I've been watching you." Daniel's stomach twisted. He braced himself, expecting another lecture about standing up for himself, something he never seemed able to do. But Coach leaned forward, his eyes steady. "You're stronger than you think." Daniel shook his head. "No, sir, I'm not. Everyone else is faster, tougher, better. I can't even stop them from laughing at me." Coach smiled faintly. "Strength doesn't come from knocking someone down, it comes from helping them stand tall. And I've seen you do that more times than you realize." Daniel blinked, confused. No one had ever told him that before. Coach then made him an offer: join the after-school wrestling team. Daniel almost refused. Wrestling meant more confrontation, more chances to be humiliated. But something in Coach's voice, a belief, a certainty, made him say yes. The first practices were brutal. Daniel was thrown onto the mat again and again. His body ached, and his self-doubt screamed louder than ever. But Coach never let him quit. He taught him not only how to wrestle, but how to hold his ground, how to use the strength he already carried inside. And then something unexpected happened. Marcus, the very boy who had shoved him in gym class, also joined the team. The tension was unbearable. At first, Marcus mocked Daniel in the locker room, but when it came time to train, Coach made them partners. Daniel wanted to refuse, but Coach's firm hand on his shoulder told him otherwise. At first, every session was a disaster. Marcus pushed too hard. Daniel flinched, tempers flared. But slowly, something shifted. Marcus began to see that Daniel wasn't weak. He wasn't easy to break. Day after day, Daniel kept showing up, kept standing back up after every fall. And one evening, after practice, Marcus muttered, "You don't give up, do you?" Daniel, still catching his breath, simply shook his head. "Not anymore." The months passed. Daniel grew stronger, not just in body, but in spirit. He learned to lift his head, to speak without his voice shaking. The boy who once hid behind broken glasses now met the world with steady eyes. Then came the district tournament. Daniel had never competed before, but Coach believed he was ready. When his name was called, Daniel stepped onto the mat, his heart pounding. The crowd blurred into silence. Across from him stood his opponent, a taller, more experienced wrestler. The match was brutal. Daniel was thrown down, pinned, nearly defeated. But each time, he remembered Coach's words, Strength comes from helping others stand tall, and he realized that he wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for every quiet kid, every overlooked student, every person who thought they weren't enough. With a final surge of determination, Daniel flipped his opponent and held firm. The whistle blew. He had won. The gym erupted in cheers. But what Daniel remembered most wasn't the sound of Victoria, it was the sight of Marcus standing at the edge of the mat, clapping, not mocking, not sneering, clapping. Later, as the team celebrated, Marcus approached him. For the first time, there was no arrogance in his voice. "You were right," Marcus said quietly. "Strength isn't about pushing people down. Thanks for showing me that." Daniel didn't gloat, didn't remind him of all the times he had been cruel. Instead, he extended his hand. And when Marcus took it, it wasn't just a handshake, it was a beginning. Years later, Daniel would look back on that moment as the turning point of his life. Not the match he won, but the lesson he carried. True strength isn't measured in victories or muscles, but in the courage to lift others when they've fallen. Because strength, real strength, doesn't come from knocking someone down, it comes from helping them stand tall.